Grasmere, Westmoreland, 14th January 1801. Sir, it is not without much difficulty that I have summoned the courage to request your acceptance of these volumes. Should I express my real feelings, I am sure that I should seem to make a parade of diffidence and humility. Several of the poems contained in these volumes are written upon subjects which are the common property of all poets, and which, at some period of your life, must have been interesting to a man of your sensibility, and perhaps may still continue to be so. It would be highly gratifying to me to suppose that even in a single instance the manner in which I have treated these general topics should afford you any pleasure, but such a hope does not influence me upon the present occasion. In truth, I do not feel it. Besides, I am convinced that there must be many things in this collection which may impress you with an unfavorable idea of my intellectual powers. I do not say this with a wish to degrade myself, but I am sensible that this must be the case, from the different circles in which we have moved, and the different objects with which we have been conversant. Being utterly unknown to you as I am well aware that if I am justified in writing to you at all, it is necessary my letter should be short, but I have feelings within me which I hope will so far show themselves in this letter as to excuse the trespass which I am afraid I shall make. In common with the whole of the English people, I have observed in your public character a constant predominance of sensibility of heart, necessitated as you have been from your public situation to have much to do with men in bodies and in classes, and accordingly to contemplate them in that relation. It has been your praise that you have not thereby been prevented from looking upon them as individuals, and that you have habitually left your heart open to be influenced by them in that capacity. This habit cannot but have made you dear to poets, and I am sure that if, since your first entrance into public life, there has been a single true poet living in England, he must have loved you. But were I assured that I myself had a just claim to the title of a poet, all the dignity being attached to the word which belongs to it, I do not think that I should have ventured for that reason to offer these volumes to you. At present it is solely on account of two poems in the second volume, the one entitled The Brothers, and the other Michael, that I have been emboldened to take this liberty. It appears to me that the most calamitous effect which has followed the measures which have lately been pursued in this country is a rapid decay of the domestic affections among the lower orders of society. This effect the present rulers of this country are not conscious of, or they disregard it. For many years past, the tendency of society among almost all the nations of Europe has been to produce it, but recently, by the spreading of manufactures through every part of the country, by the heavy taxes upon postage, by workhouses, houses of industry, and the invention of soup shops, etc., superadded to the increasing disproportion between the price of labor and that of the necessaries of life, the bonds of domestic feeling among the poor, as far as the influence of these things has extended, have been weakened, and, in innumerable instances, entirely destroyed. The evil would be the less to be regretted if these institutions were regarded only as palliatives to a disease, but the vanity and pride of their promoters are so subtly interwoven with them that they are deemed great discoveries and blessings to humanity. In the meantime, parents are separated from their children, and children from their parents. The wife no longer prepares with her own hands a meal for her husband, the produce of his labor. There is little doing in his house in which his affections can be interested, and but little left in it which he can love. I have two neighbors, a man and his wife, both upwards of 80 years of age. They live alone. The husband has been confined to his bed many months, and has never had, nor till within these few weeks, has ever needed any body to attend to him but his wife. She has recently been seized with a lameness, which has often prevented her from being able to carry him his food to his bed. The neighbors fetch water for her from the well, and do other kind offices for them both, but her infirmities increase. She told my servant 2 days ago that she was afraid they must both be boarded out among some other poor of the parish. They have long been supported by the parish, but she said it was hard, having kept house together so long, to come to this, and she was sure that it would burst her heart. I mention this fact to show how deeply the spirit of independence is, even yet, rooted in some parts of the country. These people could not express themselves in this way without an almost sublime conviction of the blessings of independent domestic life. If it is true, as I believe, that this spirit is rapidly disappearing, no greater curse can befall a land. I earnestly entreat your pardon for having detained you so long. In the two poems, The Brothers and Michael, I have attempted to draw a picture of the domestic affections as I know they exist among a class of men who are now almost confined to the north of England. They are small independent proprietors of land here, called statesmen, men of respectable education, who daily labour on their own little properties. The domestic affections will always be strong amongst men who live in a country not crowded with population, if these men are placed above poverty. But if they are proprietors of small estates, which have descended to them from their ancestors, the power which these affections will acquire amongst such men is inconceivable by those who have only had an opportunity of observing hired labourers, farmers, and the manufacturing poor. Their little tract of land serves as a kind of permanent rallying point for their domestic feelings, as a tablet upon which they are written, which makes them objects of memory in 1,000 instances when they would otherwise be forgotten. It is a fountain fitted to the nature of social man, from which supplies of affection, as pure as his heart was intended for, are daily drawn. This class of men is rapidly disappearing. You, sir, have a consciousness, upon which every good man will congratulate you, that the whole of your public conduct has, in one way or other, been directed to the preservation of this class of men, and those who hold similar situations. You have felt that the most sacred of all property is the property of the poor. The two poems which I have mentioned here were written with a view to show that men who do not wear fine clothes can feel deeply. Pectus enim est quod dissertos facit, et vis mentis. Ideoque imperitis quoque, si modo sint aliquo affectu concitati verba non desunt. And therefore even the ignorant, if they are stirred by some emotion, do not lack words. The poems are faithful copies from nature, and I hope, whatever effect they may have upon you, you will at least be able to perceive that they may excite profitable sympathies in many kind and good hearts, and may, in some small degree, enlarge our feelings of reverence for our species and our knowledge of human nature, by showing that our best qualities are possessed by men whom we are too apt to consider, not with reference to the points in which they resemble us, but to those in which they manifestly differ from us. I thought, at a time when these feelings are sapped in so many ways, that the two poems might cooperate, however feebly, with the illustrious efforts which you have made to stem this and other evils with which the country is labouring, and it is on this account alone that I have taken the liberty of thus addressing you. Wishing earnestly that the time may come when the country may perceive what it has lost by neglecting your advice, and hoping that your latter days may be attended with health and comfort, I remain, with the highest respect and admiration, your most obedient and humble servant, W. Wordsworth.